Welcome to part 2 of the video series on how I constructed this arts and crafts style round table. This video focuses on the legs. I made 2 different style legs, each with the same result: quarter sawn white oak grain displayed on all 4 sides. The first leg has a red oak core and is surrounded by quarter sawn white oak veneer. The second leg has a solid white oak core with shop made thicker veneer on the other sides. The finished length of the leg is 19 inches. I'll start by cross-cutting some material longer than I need, about 22 inches. I've jointed one edge on the joiner, and I'll cut rips that are about 1 3/4 inches wide. I plane one face of these pieces at the joiner to flatten it up, and then I run the opposing face through the planer, so now I have 2 parallel faces on this board. Next, I'll glue up the cores for the legs. It's just a matter of an even layer of yellow glue, sandwiching the pieces together, and then clamping the entire thing into one assembly. And I'll set that aside to dry. To get a square leg, it's important that the face that I've already planed and jointed is against the joiner's fence. And we'll be planing the material on the adjacent face at 90 degrees. After making this 90-degree joint, take the piece to the planer, which will then make the top face parallel to the face I just jointed. You'll notice the way I'm putting these through the planer is with that same triangle down. This will make the top face parallel with the bottom face. It's time to cut up some pieces of veneer for the imposter legs. I use this simple jig on the table saw that allows me to sandwich multiple pieces of veneer between 2 pieces of MDF. The MDF rides against the table saw's fence and the veneer is cut. It's a really easy way to get multiple pieces of veneer at the same width. Applying the veneer to the legs is simple. I put on some yellow glue, spread it out in an even layer, and then put on the veneer. Now I've purposely left these legs long so I can take an upholstery stapler and tack the veneer in place so it doesn't slide around during the clamping. So I'll do 2 faces of each leg and then clamp all 4 legs in one assembly. After the veneer is dried, I use a bearing guided flush cut bit on the router table to trim the veneer even with the edge of the leg. And then I repeat the procedure for the remaining 2 sides of each leg. One thing I like about working with veneer, it's really easy to match grain between pieces, and also you can get some great looking figure in the wood. The quarter sawn rays and flecks really pop out in this veneer. To make the thicker veneer for the quarter sawn legs, I resaw some quarter sawn white oak on the bandsaw. It's approximately 3/16 of an inch thick. I bring these pieces to a uniform thickness on the wide drum sander. The procedure with the thick veneer is very similar to the thin veneer. Just a layer of yellow glue, put on the veneer piece, and then clamp everything together. After these pieces have dried, I use the same technique on the router table, using the bearing guided flush cut bit to trim the veneer even with the leg. Here's a look at both sets of legs. The veneered imposter legs on the top and the solid, authentic legs on the bottom. The next step is to sand both sets of legs. To make sanding easy, I gang up all 4 legs and clamp them together. In this way, I don't have a narrow surface that the sander would tip off of. I have a nice wide surface to sand, and I can sand all 4 legs at one time. The solid legs will get a slight chamfer down all 4 edges. I'm chamfering back to the glue line where the thick veneer meets the leg, and this conceals that joint. After cutting both legs to length, on the end that I've determined to be the bottom, I'll chamfer off all 4 edges of the bottom of the leg. This is traditionally done on table legs to prevent the bottom of the leg from splintering if the table slid across the floor. Here's a look at the legs and tabletops of each table side by side. So far, the imposter is doing a good job of mimicking its authentic counterpart. Well, that does it for this part of the video, but I invite you to check out the all-new Eagle Lake Woodworking to see the rest of the videos in this series and videos on other woodworking topics. You can access all parts of the videos in one easy viewer. Check out the photo galleries of in-process work, measured drawings, and finished projects. You can also download files associated with projects. So check it out at www.eaglelakewoodworking.com.